Ah, the creature from the Black Lagoon. You have better taste than I expected, Hikaru. Or did you get it from your pops, considering that's likely who you got that tape from last week from? When is Solid Snake coming back to the show? I'm starting to miss him. A little. Continuing where we left off from last week, the Precure were making their way to Yan Yan's planet to get their ship repaired. Along the way, they passed by some distinctly shaped planets like, You try to make sense of that. Honestly, Yan Yan's planet is the easiest planet to mentally accept at this point, as it was mostly just a water droplet in the middle of space. Oh yeah, I actually remember that being a really fun level in Super Mario Galaxy. Inside of it, Hikaru can make out many stationary bubbles where supposedly many of the inhabitants live, because really, you can't expect every organism on this planet to be aquatic. Surprisingly, this week's episode wasn't written by Murayama, but rather Junior, aka Mitsutaka Hirota, who, now that I think about it, also seems to have a really strong fascination with building all these unique and interesting worlds. The planet that I really should use quotation marks for was called Purun, much to the delight of Prunsu, who rather suddenly had a crush on Yan Yan. Dude, she praised your donuts once. Don't get in over your head that makes up most of your body. This is how you end up with false idols. But yeah, in order to impress her, he once again went out to propel their ship towards the planet. Also, yes, I realized I missed out on a great joke opportunity last week when I could have compared the Prunsu propulsion to a certain Godzilla scene. Honestly, I just wanted to avoid any trouble with Toho, but I think we can get away with a little music. They submerged into the planet rather than landed on it. Oh, pray to God Calvin never finds this place. And upon closer inspection, they found some questionable aquatic life. Produce and meat should never be one and the same, though now I get what banana fish means. Anyway, since Yan Yan's home bubble was close to the center of the planet, the Precure had some time to kill. Hikaru wanted to use Uni's transformation perfume to breathe underwater, but her furry friend clarified that her perfume only changed her appearance and didn't give her any special attributes like gills. However, as it just so happened, Yan Yan had several magical pearls that would allow the Precure to transform into anything they wanted with all of the added benefits of that form. Understandably, Hikaru's friends were scared that she was going to turn into the aforementioned creature from the lagoon that is black, but instead, she went with the more marketable form. Let's not talk about that right now. Also, yes, I'll be holding back on any obvious jokes involving cats and fishes. Prunsu also joined in on the fun, turning into King Jellyfish. Unfortunately, he also ended up using the last of Yan Yan's pearls, leaving Fua, who finally decided to wake up, without any means of joining in on the fun. So instead, they just stuck her in a bubble, which, yeah, that looks totally safe, and I'm sure she won't suffocate. Regardless, this led into a cute sequence where our heroines took in the under and above water world. Hikaru in particular tried to have some fun with Uni swimming through some conveniently lined up rings and stars. Okay, so this really is a Mario level. I look forward to seeing it at Universal Studios. Seriously, Nintendo World is going to be awesome. However, Uni's old ship that had gotten the GTA 3 style custom job made its way towards the planet, passing by that thing again. And it began attacking them. To make matters worse, their pearls began glowing while beeping to a rather familiar sounding rhythm. This franchise really enjoys referencing Ultraman. Hey, I hope you girls got permission from the toy higher-ups for basically giving your competitor free advertising. Luckily, there was a nearby giant bubble, and hey, considering all the video game references I've made so far, how about we dig up some old classic nightmare fuel? You're welcome for the trauma. Thus, after narrowly beating the water level, the Precure went straight into the boss fight. Unsurprisingly, their attacker was none other than the returning I-1, though she no longer had any interest in Fua or the pens, having received her pink slip from Darkness and blaming it all on her former lackey. Though really, I'm pretty sure it had more to do with the fact that she was losing a bunch of battles and pens to the Precure. Don't know why they excused Tendril though. Whom, speaking of which, since she was basically fulfilling the Monster of the Week gimmick, I-1 did need a U1 for herself. Thus, her new thing was using her own collected imagination of anger. Even though I'm pretty sure you should just call that plain old malice, but again, they have to shoehorn in this imagination theme as if it means anything at this point. That aside, I do like her gimmick of basically turning Uni's ship into a transformer. Cyber Team Power! Well, obviously, because he was the best android. Come at me, 21 fanboys. I-1 proceeded to verbally chastise the former Bakunyam for her, admittedly morally questionable deception tactics. The Precure tried to defend Uni by pointing out that I-1 and the Nulterators had committed far worse crimes. Obviously, as a villain, I-1 didn't acknowledge any of her crimes, and even turned the argument back around to Uni and her lengthy deceptions towards not just her, but also the Precure and her many Malfans. And to be fair, she's not totally wrong, but Hikaru still tried to defend her. Yeah, I hate to agree with I-1, but that is kind of false equivalency there, Hikaru. Garnering new fun experiences by taking on multiple personas was far from Yui's main goal. She was a thief who did commit legitimate larceny. Even if it was for a good cause, she still deceived and robbed many people. Again, sometimes the show has problems getting its morals and themes across. Fortunately, she kind of recovered by pointing out how Uni has remained true to her goal of restoring her planet, which, okay, but again, let's not pretend like she hasn't done anything wrong. Anyway, after more of the usual stock animation spamming, they made quick work of I-1 and forced her into retreat. Thus, the episode ended with the Precure making their way towards Yanyan's home bubble to get their ship repaired. While far from the most eventful episode, this is still a really decent one, giving us a really interesting new world and a strong reintroduction to I-1 of all characters. I'm still not a huge fan of hers, but this is still a good start towards rebuilding I-1 as an actually interesting character rather than just a one-dimensional valley girl. She now has a legit and understandable motivation for being a bad guy. Her new gimmick, shoehorned imagination stuff aside, is interesting and fairly unique. I'm guessing she's gonna switch out limbs every time, making for a different mecha during each encounter. The fact that she's broken off from the rest of the antagonists could add an interesting new wrinkle to the show, though hopefully they also don't pull a WCW and end up with too many factions by the end. Still, I am looking forward to seeing the continued rivalry between her and Yuri, just again, as long as they don't try to portray the ex-thief as being totally in the right. The new planet of Purun was a very pretty new setting, and just seeing the Cure swim around was pretty fun. So yeah, overall, nagging points aside, this was a decent episode. A little too fluffy at times, like, I get it, this is supposed to be a running gag, but using the same animation for Pruju 3 times is kind of lazy. But yeah, good enough build-up episode, and soft reboot for a stale antagonist. How was your guys' week? Me personally, it was a DMV nightmare just to try and get my license renewed. Let me just put it this way, the nearest office near me is right next door to Chinatown. Not exactly the cleanest part of the city. And sadly, because of it and other technical difficulties, the Miracle Universe review is going to be about another week, but I'll still try to get it out when I can. Look forward to it, and until then though, farewell for now my friends, and remember, not all water levels are created equal. I'll take the DMV over that any day.